Hi, I'm Jane.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
We are volunteers and board members of the Great River Children's Museum. Hey, and we wanted to talk about how COVID is ruining everything. Sometimes it can feel like the coronavirus, which is called COVID, is ruining everything. COVID makes us stay at home.
COVID makes us worry about people being sick.
COVID says we can't play with our friends.
COVID says we can't have parties.
COVID makes some moms and dads have to work at home.
COVID makes some moms and dads have to be gone at work a lot.
COVID made the schools close and canceled our summer activities. So kids all over the country are having lots of feelings. And our feelings show up in our bodies, and sometimes we need help to feel better. Many people are feeling anxious, which is like feeling worried all the time. And that kind of anxious, worried feeling, it shows up in our thoughts when we worry about things.
In our bodies, and we can feel icky or jittery or feel like we're trapped and we need to run.
Sometimes it shows up in our feelings and we feel down or scared or hopeless. Barbara and I have 3 activities that can help people feel better when they're feeling anxious. And we'll share those with you.
So I don't know if you've heard about worry stones, but worry stones are a small, smooth rock or other object that you can use to calm your stress and anxiety. I'll show you one. It's really small. Some people have big ones that fit in the palm of their hand, and some people have small ones that they can just rub with their fingers. So on the website, there's more handouts about how to make a worry stone, and I'm just going to introduce a little bit about how to make one and how to use it. So when you use a worry stone, you can rub the stone when you're feeling worried, because sometimes when we get really nervous, we have energy in our body, and rubbing the stone helps a little bit of that energy go out. Sometimes when people rub the stones, they say something to help them feel brave, like, I can do hard things, I have people to help me, I can be brave. Sometimes the worry stones are fun to make and give as gifts, and so other people can help manage some of their worries. So I want to show you how to make it. There's some recipe for a clay. You can either buy at a craft store or you can make your own at home. So I have 3 different colors for mine, and I'm going to squish them all together. And then I'm going to roll it into kind of a snake so that all the colors get mixed together. Do you see the colors? And then I'm going to put it back into a ball. And then I'm going to squish my thumb in there. Because remember, when we rub the worry stone, we want it to fit our fingers and our thumb. Get all that extra energy out. Sometimes you can do that when you're making them. So there's mine. There's the other side. You can see the colors are swirled together. Then what you want to do is get some help from your parents. And you can use a baking tin or tin foil on a baking sheet. And so if you bought the clay from the store, there's directions on the package of how to bake them, how long, and how warm the oven should be. And then they're dry, they're hard. And one little tip, if the worry stone breaks, because sometimes they do, that means they've done their job and they're all done working hard. And if your worries come back, you can make another one.
I would love a stone, Barbara. That's a great idea.
All right. So another way to manage some of those worries and anxiety is moving our body. As we talked about how sometimes our energy builds up in our body because we're feeling nervous. And so sometimes we have to find a way to get that energy out before we can feel calm. So I don't know if you've heard about calm breathing, but that helps to do calm breathing after we let the energy out, because sometimes our bodies have so much energy, we need to let out the energy before we can do a calm breathing. So I'm going to walk you through some of my favorites, but you can, again, check out the website to see the handouts with more information for lots of different ways to move our body and calm our body. If we're talking about energy release activities, they help get our energy out. So sometimes when we're feeling nervous, our body feels uncomfortable because there's all this adrenaline in our body and our heart's beating really fast and our breathing changes. And so the best way to make us feel better is to let the energy out. So one way you can do is wall pushes. Wall pushes are kind of like push-ups, except we're just pushing on the wall. So you're going to plant your hands against the wall and your feet on the ground, and you're going to push as hard as you can. Push, 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 push. And you'll feel it in your arms, but it doesn't make any sound. So you want to push, 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 push. And then you'll have to shake all that extra energy out. Shake, 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 shake. Some kids like to do jumping jacks. Some kids like to run in place. Some kids like to do silly dances. But whatever you can do to let that energy out, and then you'll notice your body feels a little bit more relaxed. Once your body feels more relaxed, then you're ready for the calm down activities. The calming activities help your body relax even more. So some of those are calm breathing or yoga. There's some fun kid yoga exercises that you can do. Parents and kids like to do them together. One of my favorites is the tall tree stretch, where you reach your arms up really high, like a tree, and then you plant your feet on the ground, and sometimes you can go all the way down and touch your toes. And then you can stretch your arms. All that stretching helps our body relax even more. And then I want to teach you a little trick about the breathing. With belly breaths, you're going to feel your belly go up and down. So if you can put your hands on your belly, and we're going to breathe in slow and exhale slow. So we're breathing in and out. And you should feel your tummy go up and down. And if you're kind of creative and you like hot chocolate, some kids pretend they're holding a cup of hot chocolate and they imagine it smells really chocolatey. So they breathe in and then they breathe out to cool it off. And they breathe in. So the trick to it is that you're exhaling really slow so that your whole body starts to feel heavy and relaxed. So hopefully, after all that energy release and all the calm down, that hopefully the worries are feeling a little bit calmer in our body.
I feel better already, Barbara. Thanks. Third activity that we have is about spreading kindness. And it's kind of interesting to know that spreading kindness, actually doing things for other people, helps us feel better ourselves, which isn't how we'd always think about it, but it really is true. They've found that doing something good for somebody else, spreading kindness around your neighborhood can actually help you feel better, as well as you get outside, you're moving your body at the same time. All of those things are happening at the same time. So this is just an idea about how to spread kindness around your neighborhood, and it's about rocks. So the first thing you have to do is just go find some nice rocks that you can decorate and then put kind words on the rocks, and then go hide them all over your neighborhood. So you can find your mom or your dad or some other adult in your household to take you outside to go search for rocks. And then the next thing, what I had to do with these rocks is I had to wash them because they're dirty. So I came home, I washed the rocks, and then I was ready to make my rocks beautiful. So I started doing that with this one here. You can see I've put some blue paint on, I've put some red paint on, and then I even drew with a marker on one side and made it green, so you can do it with markers or paint. So if I want to take my yellow paint and just take a little bit of yellow paint and paint on my rock to make it pretty. So you can do whatever you want to make your rocks beautiful in whatever way you choose to do that. And when you're done, then you, or you could ask a grown-up, can write something on the rock, write a message on the rock, something about, like, I'll just write a big word here. It says hope. And then the next part, which I think is kind of the most fun in a way, is you take those outside. So again, find a grown-up to go with you, and you can go wander around your neighborhood and hide these rocks in places where people might find them. You have no idea who's going to find them, but what you know is that you're spreading those kind thoughts all around your neighborhood. And that can actually make us feel better too. There's a lot of people around right now in the middle of the COVID pandemic that are worried or lonely or could use a kind thought. And this is a way that we can offer that kind thought around the neighborhood. So those are our 3 ideas: a way to help you think when you're worried, to use the worried stone, ways to do some special body movement to release energy and then calm down, and then a way to spread kindness around your neighborhood. And all these things help us feel better at a time when we're not feeling so hot all the time. I have a friend whose name is Debbie Campbell, and she's also somebody that I worked with for a long time. She's also a volunteer at Great River Children's Museum. She is also a grandma, but her granddaughters live far, far away in Oregon, so she hasn't been able to see them since the whole COVID crisis has happened. And that makes her really sad. What she did was she wrote them a wonderful book, a fantasy book about her experience and her granddaughter's experience of this coronavirus pandemic. And you get to hear that story right now. She's going to read it to you.
That's great.
This is a story that I wrote for my granddaughters who live far away. Because of the coronavirus, we haven't been able to see them as much as we would like. COVID has changed a lot of things for all of us, but when we get through this, it will all end well. Once upon a time, long, long ago, there was a papa and a grandma who had 2 wonderful granddaughters named Princess Elizanor and Princess Albie. They loved them so very much. The only problem was that the princesses lived very far away in a castle in another land called Putterland. Sometimes Papa and Grandma missed them so much that they jumped on their magic carpet and flew all the way across the entire country just to see them for a few days. That made them all very, very happy. During those visits, they would read stories, go to the park, and sit on the royal couch for some serious snuggling time with the princesses. It was wonderful. But one day, a very strong wind blew through the whole country. It blew and circled and blew some more until it formed into a very ugly glob. This made all the people stay inside their houses, waiting until it was safe to go out again. Magic carpets didn't fly. Children stayed inside their houses. Schools shut their doors. Moms and dads worked from home. And papas and grandmas stayed right where they were. Now this was a problem. They couldn't visit Princess Elizanor and Princess Albie, and that made them very, very sad, because the visits to the princesses were Papa and Grandma's favorite thing to do. Thank goodness for royal FaceTime, said Papa. Thank heavens we can still send books, said Grandma. Thank our lucky stars that postal horses still deliver packages to Putterland, they both said together. So Papa and Grandma and Princess Elizanor and Princess Albie used their royal computers and royal phones to visit as often as they could. And in those days, long, long ago, computers and phones were not at all like they are today. The princesses drew pictures and sent them by special delivery on horseback. Papa and Grandma ordered books to be delivered to their granddaughters in the castle. It wasn't as good as being there in person, but it was the best they could do. Of course, a little bit of magic helped too. But the glob was still waiting, sneaking around, hiding behind corners, and making life difficult for everyone. What the glob didn't know, though, was that a bigger wind was coming. It started small, much like a whisper, but grew quickly, just a gentle breeze that was slowly taking shape. But what shape? It was the shape of a heart. It was absolutely beautiful, and eventually it was bigger than the glob and much, much stronger. Much stronger. One day, the beautiful heart shape was mighty enough to do exactly what it was meant to do. It puffed up its chest and snuck up on that big, ugly glob. It reached out and tapped the glob on the shoulder. And when the glob turned around, the heart shape wrapped its arm around that big, ugly glob and squeezed until it melted into a puddle of mud and dirt and just plain stinky crud. I knew you could do it, cheered Princess Albie. Good job, exclaimed Princess Elizanor. Now we can get back to normal, they both shouted happily. The good news spread throughout the country. The big ugly glob was gone, melted into a pile, and swept up by the good people who kept the city neat and tidy. Papa and Grandma were so happy. They packed their bags and they boarded their magic carpet. Onward to Putterland! We'll see our princesses very soon, they exclaimed. And when they arrived at the castle, they hugged the princesses so tightly they all nearly fell over. Everyone was so happy. Can we read a book together? Asked Princess Albie. Of course, said Grandma, who loved nothing better than snuggling and reading books with the princesses. And when they settled on the royal couch with a good long book, they noticed the red heart shape sitting merrily right next to them. She was smiling and looked very pleased with herself. I wonder what she's made of, pondered Princess Albie, who was always very curious about everything. Well, I think she's made of bravery and persistence and strength and power, but also gentleness and patience and kindness, said Princess Elizanor, who was also very curious, but also extremely well informed about such things. Said Princess Albie, scratching her head. I think she's made of one more thing, said Papa. He had noticed a tiny little opening in her back, and when he pulled on a loose silk thread, guess what poured out all over the room? Love. She was full of love for everyone. Papa and Grandma and Princess Elizanor and Princess Albie snuggled on the royal couch, watching the whole world fill up with love, and that made everyone very, very happy. And it all ended well. The end.